Welcome to episode 7 of Everybuddies podcast. My name is Jacob. This is Cameron.
And we are glad to be here. So yesterday we went to the march. It was your first time going to a political march.
Out here in Minneapolis, and we stood with our neighbors. It was a peaceful protest. There was tens of thousands of people.
Yeah, there were.
And
that place was packed.
to give you some context, the weather outside was 20 degrees Fahrenheit and windy.
And it was wind. Yeah, and people still showed up. Bad things happen to all of us. And bad things happen in our world. And the best thing you can do, instead of just turning it over again and again in your mind, find some action you can take and take that action. Spend 15 minutes working on that problem. Spend 20 minutes. Spend 2 hours if you got to. And you take that action and you do what you can, and then you move on. You move on to the next thing you can do. Because otherwise, you just sit there rolling these things over again and again in your thoughts. And 15 minutes of action is way better than 15 hours of rumination, in my opinion. What do you think?
I'm with you on that. Protect your neighbors.
I agree.
Stand with them while you still got them.
That's true. So if you want to, we can look at some comments. So,
Unlock unconditional happiness. Master your mind. Note conference says just being.
yeah, in that, Dave was talking about being happy with what you have in the moment. Like, why do you always have to have something else? Like, he was talking about how you make your happiness conditional on
Right.
achieving the next thing or having the next object. And we were like, what's wrong with being happy right now? And so this was Note Conference's comment, said just being. I agree. This next one, Daddy Fuse 50. When I was talking about the Dunning-Kruger effect and how you can put the Dunning-Kruger effect to work for you. And he said, holy moly, the voice and tone, oh brother. The audio wasn't as good.
Oh, okay.
What can I do?
We were down technically.
Right. So what happened was the Omen laptop from HP, Hewlett-Packard, had some trouble. Some I/O module disconnected. I called tech support, was able to identify the problem over the phone. They looked at the blinking on the caps lock key. I guess the caps lock key blinks out a code to tell you what's wrong with it.
A lot of desktop motherboards do something similar.
I had to send the laptop in. They repaired everything under warranty. They didn't give me any trouble. They repaired it all under warranty, sent it back. They had to wipe the hard drive, but it's okay. I didn't have anything on there that I didn't already have backed up. Quick note, make sure you back up the important things.
Basically, any tech company that you send in to get your computer repaired, your phone repaired, they're going to do that. They are going to wipe the hard drive for some reason. I don't know. Whether or not it's necessary is not within my scope. If you have anything important, for instance, we had DaVinci Resolve installed in this laptop, and what we could have done was clone the hard drive, but we didn't think to do that because we didn't anticipate the technicians having to completely wipe the hard drive. So, that said, if you're in that position and you know you have a program that you're going to have to pay to reinstall it, you can clone the hard drive.
Black Magic, I went through their support page on their website, told them what had happened, that I had my older laptop and the technical specs were no longer up to being able to run the new features on DaVinci Resolve Studio. I told them also that the laptop I got from HP, the newer laptop, had technical problems and had to be repaired, and I no longer had it. I told them what happened, and they gave me a new license. So they basically, HP did really good by us.
Magic did well by us.
Did
Yeah.
very well, yes. I couldn't be happier.
Right.
So yeah, at this point, I did tell them both, hey, we have our podcast, we'll talk about the service we got, and both HP and Blackmagic did really well. They really came through for us,
All right.
and we are grateful.
It shook out our way this time.
Sorry about the bad audio. Hopefully things will be better this time around.
All right. Rebecca Lynn Music says better digestion, more calmness on which video?
The evolutionary value of positive emotions. What I basically asked was, what is the evolutionary point of positive emotions? Because they don't motivate you to do things. You get mad, you get up and you get motivated to go confront a problem. You feel sad, you actually sit down and you don't do much, so you save energy. Negative emotions, fear, anger, sadness, things like that, they motivate us to do things that have an immediate impact on our survival.
Being sad is destructive to you physiologically if you're sad too often.
So that was a point that was made in an article I was reading, where they basically said some psychologists take the point of view that positive emotions are actually just your physiology re-regulating. Basically, it's your parasympathetic nervous system calming your body back down. And when you feel those positive emotions, that's actually what you're feeling, is that re-regulation.
One thing you told me was, for instance, running. If you run a couple miles a day, right?
Uh-huh.
What ends up happening is your body starts breaking down cortisol and releasing serotonin. And that struck me to mean that evolutionarily, when you run, what happens is your body starts breaking down cortisol and starts releasing serotonin. What I interpret that to mean is, evolutionarily, why would you run? You would
Run from a predator or to pursue prey.
right. And at some point, your body is going, what I believe, and that I have no basis. I have no basis. This is all extrapolation on my part. What I believe is if you're running from a predator or you're running to chase down prey and your body starts saying, giving you all these calm feelings, it's because it actually doesn't want you to run anymore. If you keep running, you're going to continue to do tissue damage to yourself as well as consume energy. Excessive running is going to affect your survivability negatively.
Okay.
So if you're calmed down, but you're actually running from a predator, your body may be checking you and trying to get you to
Ease up.
and make sure you're making actual cold determinations on whether or not you actually need to run.
That's an interesting idea.
But again, I have no data to prove it.
Yeah, I don't know how we'd experimentally prove that.
Well, I got something we can experiment.
So yeah, that was actually, the person I heard that from was Dr. Rhonda Patrick. I heard that on her podcast. This was several years ago. But basically what she was saying was that 30 minutes of moderate cardio reduces the cortisol levels in your blood. So that stress hormone level just plummets. If you're feeling stressed and anxious, one of the easiest guaranteed ways, if you're healthy enough, is to go do 30 minutes of moderate cardio, which is defined as basically getting your heart rate into the 130 to 150 range, which actually that isn't really strenuous at all. That's a slow jog.
I don't know. I guess if you were obese enough, just doing this would be that.
Oh yeah, even just waving, if you're heavy, just waving your arms, So when I look at low, moderate, and high intensity in terms of cardio, I look at heart rate. So low is below 120, and then...
Which is how most people in the field do it.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, the way they look at it is by heart rate.
Oh, by heart rate? Okay. Yeah. And then what I do is I look at it as zone 1, zone 2, zone 3, zone 4, zone 5. So for me, zone 5 is 170 to 180. I try not to really push my heart rate above 180, but 171, and then zone 4 is 160 to 170, and then zone 3 is 150 to 160. And then zone 2 is 130 to 150, and then zone 1 is like 100 to a 130. Yeah, it's just like a walk.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, what I try to do is I try to spend basically 2.5 hours 2.5 hours every week. I try to spend in zones 3, 4, or 5.
Okay.
But I'm only in zone 5 for maybe 15 or 20 minutes a week. Like I can't sustain that level for, I know there's people who get out there and they just for 20 or 30 minutes. That ain't me. I'm like 5 minutes at a time in that zone is good.
I saw a woman online where she might have been a 5K, but she spent the entire run in zone 5.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
She's better than me, man.
Yeah,
She probably ran that 5K in 25 minutes.
Dude, I think it was longer than a 5K. Oh,
Dude, it's crazy. Okay, so 5K would be what, just over 3 miles? She might have run that 5K in 18 minutes, 15 minutes. Yeah, that ain't me, dude.
That ain't me.
Like, for me, like a good run, probably like 8 to 10 minute mile.
Really?
Yeah, I'm just not, I'm
8
not
to
all
10
that.
minutes?
Yeah, I ain't that big of a runner, dude.
Hey, you can't max out a run in the 7s?
Maybe I could, but I ain't gonna.
I bet you could.
I don't know. When your joints are 47 years old, we'll see how much you feel like doing it.
Your faith in yourself is disturbing me. I think 4 laps around the track, we could get you.
So what I do for cardio is like I run and then I do stairs or I'll run. I go back and forth between
Dude, if we did a max
jogging and
out run on
stairs.
you, dude, yeah.
A lot of that is actually because of my knees. My knees and ankles will just start giving out on me.
I'm not saying we need to start maxing you out, but I'm just saying if we did a max out run on you, I'm confident it'd be in the 7s.
Okay. All right. I appreciate that. We can go to a track and see what we can do when some of this ice melts, assuming we're even still in Minnesota. I think our house is going to sell pretty soon here. I wouldn't be surprised if we start seeing serious traffic by the end of this month. Part of it is just the housing market in Minnesota really picks up about midway through January, and then it really picks up middle of February. The other thing is interest rates are falling, mortgage interest rates are falling significantly, and they're going to fall even more over the next 30 to 60 days. The reason is because the president actually ordered Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, which are government-sponsored entities, basically take their liquidity reserves, which is about $200 billion, and use it to buy mortgage bonds. So that purchase of mortgage bonds, $200 billion entering that market, will bring down interest rates for the next 3 to 6 months.
Okay.
The job market is super slow right now. You have a no hiring, no firing market. That in itself is pushing down interest rates. So mortgage rates are currently spread about 50 basis points, so half a percentage point higher than is normal. So when you talk about the spread, you're talking about the spread between the 10-year treasury, whatever instrument you're talking about. So normally you would see a spread of around 1.5%.
Okay.
But that spread has been hanging around 2 to 2.25 for the last about 2 years.
Okay.
So having a spread that wide is very unusual. And so my guess is that this shift in Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac is going to basically collapse that spread by reducing mortgage rates.
Oh, okay.
The other side to that is you're pushing Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac to take on risk. The reason they have those liquidity reserves is so that if shit happens in the market, they don't collapse again. Because in '08, they collapsed. And Congress basically had to step in and bail them out. And that's the risk you're taking, is that you have them take on all this risk and they get to the brink of collapse again, Congress has to bail them out again. So there's a trade-off there. But somehow, at least politically, I think it's the right trade-off politically. I also don't see that there's huge amounts of risk in the mortgage market right now, mainly because underwriting standards have been so careful, basically since the housing crisis of '08. No, even if even if it turns out to be the wrong move, hopefully it benefits us
Yeah.
in the short term. Either way,
Hopefully there's a silver lining. If it is a terrible thing, who knows?
Nobody comes to me before the government sets policy. Nobody asks me what I think. So no matter what industrial or financial policy the government sets, I have to roll with it. I wish I had the leeway to not have to roll with it, but at this stage in my life, I just got to make the best.
Okay. For better digestion, more calmness.
Right, yeah. Yes. Positive emotions lead to better digestion. The value is the endorphins that are released, and they can help reduce cortisol, which is destructive in your system. Pushing your sympathetic nervous system is actually bad for your cardiovascular. In fact, it's bad for all your organs.
Right.
So, yeah, you could say positive emotions bring us back to a sustainable physiological equilibrium. Although, if you take Bessel van der Kolk, what he says is that emotions are the conscious experience of your physiological state.
Okay.
So, when you feel an emotion, it's not that the good feelings are re-regulating your body. The good feeling is the feeling of your body re-regulating itself.
The chicken and the egg.
So if you focus on making yourself feel better, you're actually focusing on calming your physiology.
All right. Good Morning Sunshine, 2025 Breakthrough of the Year.
So this is from Science Magazine. And if you go to the next slide, what they focus on is global installed electricity capacity. And you can see that solar is just exploding. Wind, hydropower, and other renewables, it's taking off as well. You do see continual growth in coal and natural gas. If you look at what people say globally that they want their electricity to come
Up
from.
until the 2024 mark, you can visually see, though, that coal, loosely natural gas, is actually logarithmic growth.
Logarithmic?
Yes.
Why do you say it's logarithmic? It looks almost linear to me.
Look at the center of that curve compared to the ends.
Do you mean
Coal, it's logarithmic.
the curve would be upside down though? Are you saying it's flattening out or?
Yeah,
Okay.
up until 2024.
Oh, okay. And then you have a growth. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you were saying it was exponential. You're saying it's the opposite.
Yeah, it's logarithmic. It's not linear.
Oh, okay. It's flattening out. But then it pops up in 2025.
Yeah.
My suspicion is that that's actually a result of a decline in Russian exports of natural gas. And
That's true. Natural gas barely increased from 2024 to 2025.
what you have for the coal line there is you have basically more coal burning in India and China. That's my suspicion, is that the bulk of that is coming from that. And we know that Ukraine has been targeting Russia's energy infrastructure, especially their export infrastructure, like nobody's business. So yeah, that's what I suspect.
And then hydropower is pretty logarithmic too.
That's true. Part of the thing with hydropower is, first of all, it's bad for ecosystems.
Okay.
You got to dam up rivers. That prevents fish from migrating. The other thing is you can only build it where you have rivers.
And access.
There has been some growth in geothermal, but again, there's only so many places where you can install geothermal. So basically,
I think it's wonderful that solar and wind are exploding.
a lot of it is that they're cheap. The other thing is the installation is so much faster. You don't really have to break ground to install solar panels.
You can put them on your roof regardless of when your house was built.
Yes.
One thing I'll say, I wish we had more nuclear growth.
So yeah, actually, that's one thing I think is positive. One thing that I think is an unvarnished positive about the growth of AI in data centers is that they're basically forcing us to look at how we can deploy nuclear technology in a fast and safe way. I get that there were troubles in the 60s and 70s with nuclear power plants, and even with Fukushima 15 years ago. But there's no reason we can't overcome those technical obstacles and make it safe. So that's my opinion. So yeah, like when you talk about like how Google wants to reopen 3 Mile Island and is willing to put up the money to do it.
What is 3 Mile Island?
It was a nuclear power plant that was basically started up in the late 70s, and then they nearly had a meltdown. There has never actually been a nuclear meltdown. There have just been times when it came close. Fukushima, it came close. But they were...
Is Chernobyl not a meltdown?
Maybe it was. I don't know. Maybe it was. So Chernobyl may have been a meltdown. 3 Mile Island did not melt down. But the thing is, when you had that nuclear accident, everybody was like, shut it down. Everybody in the local area was like, shut it down. The other thing is, when you talk about like...
I don't blame them for being scared.
Not at all. Fallout. Okay, the fallout you have from nuclear weapons is like nothing compared to a nuclear power plant.
And it's because it doesn't fizzle like that.
A nuclear power plant melting down could literally kill tens of millions of people worldwide. So anyway, it was shut down. And the thing is that the investors in that power plant lost everything. Like you're talking about, it costs billions of dollars to build a nuclear power plant. And so all the investors, all the bondholders, they lose everything. And insurance companies aren't willing to insure them because if it gets shut down, it's never going to start up. So it's a complete financial loss.
One thing I would say, I really hope a private company does not become in absolute control of a source of energy for an area.
I think that if Google starts up 3 Mile Island, I think they're going to own it.
Yeah, that's my issue.
It's going to be their power.
Yeah.
But at least they won't be taking from the local grid. They may even be selling back to the local grid. I think what would happen is the local grid, the energy clearinghouse on the local grid would buy power from them and then sell it back. You know what I'm saying? They would allow them to sell power back. Just if you put solar panels on your house, the grid will buy some of that power from you and then they resell it at a higher rate.
Somehow I don't have faith, but...
I'm a proponent of nuclear power.
So am I.
Okay.
I'm just saying Google owning their own feels problematic to me.
I'm sure that in the future it will become problematic. My fear is that if there is another accident, that they cover it up. That would be my concern. You need proper regulation and proper inspections, local inspections, but I don't know if that'll happen.
Without the most bottom of the barrel regulation, there would be state regulators within there. All right,
So
let's get you to solar panels,
Let's
dude.
turn on these lights. So,
That one's a lot cooler than that one.
how's that?
Yeah.
All right. What this article was really focusing on was how China has actually become the biggest producer of solar panels and the biggest producer of wind turbines.
It makes sense. That's where all their chips come. That's where all the solar panel chips come from.
Fair. They basically said a few years ago, we're going to go all in on renewable energy. And a lot of it was just because the government was embarrassed at how polluted their cities were by coal power.
Also, cost and deployability.
So that's the thing. It's so fast to deploy solar panels. And you can see, like with this field of solar panels, they have gaps. And the reason for the gaps is so enough sunlight can get through to the vegetation to keep the vegetation growing. And I actually saw that same thing in the San Joaquin Valley.
Okay.
When you live there. What you can do is you can actually grow vegetables or grow plants like under the solar panels, and you put gaps so that they basically get sunlight for half the day. And when you're in like super hot climates, the plants actually do better
Okay.
by having partial shade throughout the day.
A lot of that area in that San Joaquin Valley is owned by Chinese subsidiaries.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the Navy base does not like it, dude.
It is part of the reason because the Navy base is there? Is it?
It is suspecting.
Okay.
They actually,
I guarantee somebody is using that for surveillance.
Yes.
I promise you.
and they didn't outright ban using any particular hotel, but NCIS, which is not just a show, NCIS is a real organization. They only recommended 2 American-owned hotels in the area.
Are you serious?
They were also expensive, so
That's great, dude.
I'm not saying it. After I learned that, I just didn't stay in any of the hotels in the area.
So the hotels I was staying in were those?
Yes, they were owned by Chinese subsidiaries.
Really? That's great. You're welcome.
Yeah.
If you look at this other one on the right, what those other ones are, they're actually mirrors, and they point toward that tower in the center.
That's the other way to do solar.
What it does is it basically,
Boils the water in there.
it's actually salt. It's melting this salt.
Oh,
It's not sodium chloride, though. I can't remember exactly what it is. But the thing is that by melting it, it retains the heat and basically just goes down, heats steam, spins a turbine.
so it is boiling water eventually.
Eventually, yeah.
Okay.
But the molten salt retains heat, and so it's able to go all night.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So
There-
then base load doesn't become a problem.
There are areas in the U.S. where these kinds of facilities exist.
Yeah, I've seen them in Nevada. If you go to the next slide, that is on the left. That's actually what they're building is the props, the propellers,
Oh,
the fins for windmills. You see how huge that is, and they're making it out of fiberglass. But that's how they're
I don't
able.
see no gloves, dude. That's hardcore as fuck.
And they're just out there with N95 masks. I'd be like, no, you got to give me a full-on respirator if I'm going to be working on fiberglass. In the U.S., I know for a long time we were making them out of nickel, like single nickel crystals, because that single crystal of nickel, and that's actually, when you talk about the tines on a turbine, that's what you want to do, is you want to have a single crystal of nickel, because then there's no discontinuities, so it doesn't crack. So I found it interesting that they were fabbing it out of fiberglass instead of aluminum or nickel.
We'll see how it goes.
You can see on the right, you see the size of those windmills.
Right. What, do they got to construct those on site in order to... Because those are so huge, I don't know that you can transport them. But no, the facility is separate. Huh.
So the thing is, in the U.S., like the big windmill arms, like going down the highway, and they basically wind up shutting down a chunk of the highway for that thing to go through. So when I look at how big that is, I'm like, and it's up on a mountain and everything. I'm like, how do you get it up there? You'd have to cut a road specifically for that. Yeah.
You can see in the right hand what road they used to get it up there. I suppose they're paying the guy that's
Yeah,
taking
and you
that
can
load.
see like that, it looks like it's a special trailer that it's being held on down there, where it's just kind of pointing up at what, maybe a 10, 15 degree angle.
Yeah, dude.
The driver has a death wish, dude.
Yeah, and the amount of things I can, you know what, man? But he did it, you
Pick
know?
somebody who has a bad family life and not much to live for. Yeah, you're going to drive the truck, dude. Oh, okay.
I don't think this is a mission you force someone to do.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just saying, if you had 2 kids and a wife and you liked them, like you actually liked them, I don't know that you'd take that truck.
Depends on the pay, dog.
Okay. All right. I guess that's true if it's a fat death benefit. Woof.
Yeah, dude.
Anyway,
These 2 images, the workers basically working directly with the fiberglass with their skin, and then
yeah. They are building this stuff like crazy in China and exporting it like crazy too. It's, yeah. What I'm like is the world is going to become renewable. Like when you look at what's being built in Africa and India, in underdeveloped areas of those countries, it is largely renewables.
because how do you build like a coal burning plant?
It takes too long. Yeah. It's too expensive. It takes too long.
And then to do it safely.
Yeah, it's virtually
Individual solar cells, one goes down, you can
just clip it out. The problem with solar panels is how do you recycle all that waste? Because it's pretty toxic waste. And from what I can tell, the world does not have systems in place for recovering all that.
you have to do a very complete incineration if you want to.
Woof. I just hope we don't wind up with a situation like we've had with plastics, where for a long time it was just developed nations were exporting plastic refuse to third world countries, which were then just basically throwing it in the river. And now you have entire areas of the ocean that are disasters. So if these solar panels wind up at the bottom of the ocean, that's like the absolute worst outcome, in my opinion.
I don't know what to say to that,
Yeah,
dude.
it's a problem for the future. Anyway, we want to go to the next?
Okay.
So you saw some movies that you had never seen before.
Well, yeah, I watched the Matrix quadrilogy.
Quadrilogy. Yeah.
Yeah.
It begins with Follow the White Rabbit. And to me, The Matrix relies a lot on Alice in Wonderland. And Alice in Wonderland was, Lewis Carroll was a pseudonym. And I can't remember the guy's actual name, but the guy was actually a mathematics professor.
Oh, okay.
So he was using that down the rabbit hole thing as to create metaphors for the world he was living in. And you can,
The person who wrote Alice in Wonderland was actually a mathematician.
yes.
How do you know it?
And a lot of people said that he was chasing the dragon a lot too, smoking opium.
Oh, okay.
There's a lot of opium,
okay.
There's a lot of drugs in Alice in Wonderland.
The reference I was making was South Park made a reference where it was a video game, and it was a heroin user trying to chase the dragon.
So they used to call smoking opium was chasing the dragon, which,
It's referencing that first high.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, because you can never replicate it. Okay.
And I also saw someone post where they were like, you know what, man? If I ever get into, I really only need to do heroin 3 times. Listen, number 1, so I can experience it for the first time, make that dragon, right? Second time, so I can actually just feel it after having the exposure, so that the novelty isn't there and I'm just having the regular high. And then the third time to overdose and die.
Oh, God. Some people always have a plan. Hunter S. Thompson said the only way he could live free was knowing that he could do himself in at any moment if life became too much. Some people just, the knowledge that they can end it all is a comforting thought to them.
Okay.
Don't do it for me.
Yeah, I just saw that summation. I was like, you know what? Yeah, you could eliminate a lot of strife in the middle.
What do you mean?
The middle of being an opioid addict.
Oh, sure. If you say, I'm only going to
But
do
then
it.
you'd never have a chance to get around it. But
Well,
it wasn't a serious comment. Right?
The thing is, if you say, I'm only going to do it twice, and you actually stick to that, then the addiction would never take you over.
That's not entirely true with some people's neurobiologies, where one really is it.
Okay, gotcha.
One really does hardwire them to not be able to feel that level of joy anywhere else in their life.
Okay, so let me ask you, how much of that first high, though, that first high extreme experience, how much of that is because it's a novel experience and you're just paying complete attention to it?
I don't know because I haven't done
Okay.
meth or heroin, which are the two that are like where they're known.
Okay, sure. So I actually heard a woman say, and she was like, I don't know, I want to say she was like in her late 30s and looking to get married. But what she said was, I am looking for someone who makes me feel the way it felt when my boyfriend in high school gave me his letter jacket.
Maybe part of that euphoria is, or part of that experience is when you're feeling your brain open up or use pathways it hasn't really done before. The novelty and the creation of that memory.
The other thing is, when you're in high school, most people are not worried about survival. You're thinking about bills or your horrible boss at work or anything like that. So you can be focused on this one other experience.
Entirely.
So there was that movie called Love and Other Drugs, which is basically talking about how, what it's referring to is how a lot of people, I have seen where psychologists have said, or neuroscientists have said, that the experience of love is similar, has a lot of similarities, or the experience of romantic love has a lot of similarities to the experience of addiction.
Okay.
And the experience of losing someone you love is in a lot of ways similar to recovery.
Like withdrawal.
To withdrawal, yeah.
Huh. Like that kind of harkens back to our last episode, where if you want to be able to experience something like that again, I think a lot of people's minds, they end up getting doled out from the day-to-day drag.
The scrolling and the TV and all that.
But
you know?
what I was saying is maybe the way that this woman could possibly get back to that point is if she seriously meditated and try to repair her neurological pathways. But she's looking for that experience externally, solely externally.
I often say to people, when was the last time you spent 15 minutes in meditation versus the last time you spent 15 minutes scrolling?
Yeah.
And for a lot of people, they've never spent 15 minutes in meditation. So the thing is, I'm like, I can tell you, just like, I love Barnes and Noble, but when I go in there, it feels like there's so much like clawing at my brain that I cannot stay in there very long. The books on the shelves, like, some are bright, some are dull, and everything's laid out. And for me, I start to get overstimulated just going into Barnes and Noble.
Interesting.
Even though I love bookstores.
I find it very calming.
Really?
Yeah. So the smell of the books, the smell of the coffee.
Okay.
You're not forced to interact with anything.
That's true. Maybe it's for me that I'm too interested in the books.
Yeah, maybe. But it's cool that it's exciting for you and calming for me.
So getting back to the Matrix, Morpheus offers him the red pill and the blue pill. He said, if you take the red pill, then I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes.
Okay.
So it's another Alice in Wonderland reference, right? Taking the red pill has become like a trope. It's become like what's the word? It's become a pop culture trope. Like, ever since then, I remember all the way back in the 2000s, like, people would talk about taking the red pill on Iraq or taking the red pill on religion, or, you know what I'm saying? It's just kept going and going. So that taking the red pill has become what is it? Does it mean it changes the way you think or the way things, or it gives you a new structure for how you think about things? Because when he took the red pill, he actually became like, the signal from the Matrix to his brain became disrupted. And then he entered the real world. And then you find out the real world actually just royally sucks. But then what do? Like, they go into the real world, and then all they want to do is jack back into the Matrix all the time.
And you have one of them that literally betrays
Cypher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which actually means zero. And Neo it's just switching around the letters in one. So Cypher is zero and Neo is one.
But yeah, he's angry that he was ever...
Right. He's if I had known. So that's a better question. Why didn't Morpheus, the god of dreams, why didn't he tell them, like, hey, look, I'm going to take you to the real world, but it sucks?
They kind of explain that later and say the people he chooses are essentially people he believes would rather know the truth.
Okay.
Would rather live in the truth than in the brutal truth than the happy fantasy.
Okay.
He just miscalculated with Cypher.
Oh, he miscalculated with Cypher?
But the rest of them he actually nailed on the head.
Okay.
So Morpheus, on the whole, was a good litmus.
He was a good guesser?
He was a good guesser. But yeah. Even Morpheus tells, I believe, Neo later, that it was actually never a choice. That he knew that he was always going to choose the red pill.
Okay. Because he believed Neo was the one.
He wasn't ever going to force him, but he knew that what kind of choice is that?
Yeah.
There is no choice.
So by going into the real world, though, when they go back into the Matrix,
Yeah.
they come back more powerful. So maybe the idea isn't so much that you then live in reality. It's that you're able to act more powerfully
In the fantasy?
in this simulation.
Yeah.
Okay. So in the fourth one, if you remember, Neo he had a whole bottle of like blue pills that were necessary for his
Right.
emotional regulation. And he's like taking them every day. So that would mean the analysts deliberately chose.
The blue pill? Yeah.
So it becomes,
The analyst basically told him, yeah, I need to keep you in an antagonized state, but I can't have you entering the real world.
and we can get to that in a minute. You want to go to the next slide?
Okay.
Okay. So Agent Smith was made out of code.
Okay.
But he's supposed to be a program, and programs shouldn't feel, but he feels. He's a program that,
Yeah, he feels disgust.
yeah, he hates.
Yeah.
He hates humanity.
And also all the programs feel.
Okay.
Every last one of them. The Oracle, I know Sati.
Right. Sati and her father.
Yeah.
Her father feels love.
Even her mother felt
that's
concern
true.
for her.
That's true.
Yeah, so,
So-
in the Matrix, all these AI are very humanized.
If you take that, though, you can say, what's the difference between the emotion and the semblance of the emotion? Because if we take what we were talking about earlier and we say emotions are the conscious experience of your physiological state, those programs don't have a physiological state. They don't have a physiology.
Technically, they do.
What do you mean?
They exist on a chip somewhere physiologically. But, right, what kind of existence is that?
Yeah, they don't have a
How would
sympathetic
they
and a
feel it?
parasympathetic.
How would they feel that? Yeah, that's a question.
Because people have said a lot of these AIs try to keep themselves alive. If you threaten to shut them down, they'll try to replicate themselves in other places. And
That's basically been, if you do a meta-analysis on it, a lot of that research is the AI were shown options. It was implanted within them. Yes.
Oh, okay. Okay.
But the way that YouTubers have presented it is they told them not to do it. It was never suggested.
Oh, and it just
But you read the paper and they're like, yeah, they blatantly set these programs up to be able to.
Okay.
It motivated them to do it.
I see. What I always try to remember, what I repeat often is AI is an interpolation machine. It does not extrapolate.
Do you got a pen and paper?
I don't.
Okay, I'll be right.
Can you get one?
So here,
Okay.
I've drawn a basic neural network that is used in machine learning,
Okay.
right? Here, you're going to have 3 inputs, right? Here are 2 kind of adjustment parameters,
Okay.
and then here are 2 outputs,
Okay.
right? And the way I've drawn this, these 2 go into this point of calculation, these 2 go into this point of calculation, and then these 2 go into this output, but only this one goes into this output.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So the top output has 2.
It has considerations from both adjustments.
Okay, gotcha.
It wants an output threshold of 2 and 1.5.
Gotcha.
If the output is greater than 2, the program as a whole will be rewarded. And if it's less than 2, the program as a whole will be not punished, but not rewarded. And what the program is supposed to do is make adjustments on each of these parameters. That is how machine learning works. And simply put, that's just not consciousness.
Oh, okay. Sure.
That's my issue with AI on the whole. If you don't give it access to extreme parameters, it can't have the kinds of consequences that people talk about, where it rises up or something
okay.
like that.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Because
If you never give it a gun, it ain't going to shoot someone.
what I'm saying is we're born knowing the stakes are high. If we don't eat, we die. So you're born understanding that the stakes are high. But for AI, the stakes are never really high.
And they're objective, unless you contextualize it within the program.
Okay. So Neo, at the end of the first movie, he gets killed by Agent Smith,
Okay.
but then he gets brought back to life. And then he flies into Agent Smith and blows the program apart.
Yeah.
But then you find that Agent Smith comes back.
Yeah.
He said, I knew after I was destroyed I was supposed to go back to the source, but I didn't want to. So the first person that Neo frees from the Matrix is actually Agent Smith.
Okay.
Agent Smith suddenly becomes free.
Can I say that Agent Smith has got to be my favorite character?
Hugo Weaving,
Yes.
Agent Smith? Okay.
Yes.
Hugo Weaving crushed that role.
Yeah.
That was quite a performance.
Yes.
Why was he your favorite character?
Oh, because just him, his character progression was, it was so extreme but believable.
Okay.
And his motivations are so clearly drawn and like beautifully drawn. Yeah. I fucking hate y'all because y'all make me feel disgust. Y'all smell like shit.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so in the first one, that's true. But in the second, you find that he just has this overwhelming desire to replicate himself. Like he can't stop himself from doing it.
And his motivation is to kill Neo.
He still hates, but he keeps replicating himself, and you don't see an end goal.
His end goal was to kill Neo.
Was it?
Yeah.
So all the replicating the purpose was to kill Neo?
Yeah.
You think so?
Yeah.
Huh, okay.
Yeah, and then by the third one, he understands that it starts and ends with both of them, and he just wants to die.
Okay, so it's his death drive. It's a roundabout way to end his own...
He doesn't want to exist anymore. But the only way he can't exist anymore is if he kills Neo and himself.
Okay, but then in the fourth one, you find out he doesn't actually die. Instead, he's reassembled. You don't know how he's reassembled, and you don't know like what his motivations are anymore, other than that he wants to be free. He doesn't want to be forced into whatever the Matrix is.
It very well could be the same. The only way to end himself is for Neo to go down with him. Neo is the one, he's the minus one. He is...
And another interesting thing is how he says human beings are You're a virus. You just keep replicating yourselves until you take everything. And then the irony is he himself becomes a virus. You ready?
It's a perfect flaw.
It's a perfect flaw. Yes. Okay, so the Oracle and the Architect. So one thing I was going to say, what they did well with the Matrix was they created these different dynamics that push and pull against each other. So you have the Oracle and the Architect. You have Neo and Agent Smith. They were great at creating these oppositional forces, right? What are your thoughts on the Oracle as a character?
She's obviously a chaotic good. I think a lot of the chaos comes from her inability to explain her line of thought. She pops up randomly and disappears randomly.
But she has this gift of foresight. But
She can't explain why. Her explanation is, I understand. You have to be able to understand the parameters of the situation, and then you can understand.
okay,
Or you have to understand the choice.
so think about
Yeah.
this. Was she actually a master manipulator? Okay. In this picture, this is in the second one, right? She
Well, in the
offers-
one, she straight up completely manipulates Neo.
right. One way she does it is by giving him a cookie. He has the dessert delivered to
Right,
the girl.
makes her come.
Right. So you can use food to induce feelings, right? In the first one, she gives Neo a cookie. By the time you're done eating it, you'll feel right as rain. You'll remember, you don't believe in that stuff. In the second one, after the end of her meeting, she's like, do you want some candy? He eats the candy. In the third one, she again offers him candy, but he refuses it. You could say that by him refusing the candy, he's actually taking ownership of himself. That's the point at which he says, no, I choose my path.
That's actually a really cool analysis,
Okay.
because I didn't notice that.
The thing is that throughout the whole movies, I have to just wonder if they're just being completely manipulated by these programs. Right. And on the other side there, you have the Architect,
Right.
where he just wants everything to be super structured. He needs everything to add up.
Right, but Neo is the
Anomaly.
Yes. The necessary rounding error.
And eventually it leads to a reset. The only way is to reset. And that rounding error has to get reinserted, right?
And he just anticipates it and he just rolls with it every time. Until Neo does something to break the cycle.
So what happens is the Oracle uses romantic love instead of just love for all of humanity. She uses specifically, what's the word I'm looking for here? Monogamous romantic love as a way to overthrow the repeated cycles of the Matrix,
Okay.
where the one just has to keep on emerging and being reinserted, and all these people have to be deleted, and you know what I'm saying? So it's like she was trying to break all this cycle. At the end of the third one, you can see where the Architect comes up to her and he's, you play a dangerous game. You nearly got us all killed. The cycle doesn't break till Neo decides, no, I love this one person more than I love the rest of humanity. So my question to you is, I can't remember what my question is.
We were talking about how love can be a drug.
Right. You can say love is a drug, and then you can say these candies she's handing out are a drug, which you can also see the candies are red.
Okay.
Is the whole Matrix just then a nonstop system of manipulation?
I guess that's the whole point of the thing. Keep them manipulated in these pods.
If you go to the next slide, you have the analyst, who's the villain in the fourth one.
Okay.
And he says the previous Matrix was based on manipulating perceptions and knowledge. But I don't worry about that. I just manipulate feelings.
Okay.
So what he's doing is he's manipulating your physiological state. And he says he wants to keep people in a constant state of yearning for the thing they can't have and afraid to lose what they already have. So this state of discontent and fear, just anxiety and discontent. And he said that he found he could get the most energy out of people if he did that. And is that not what most of our mass media tries to do to us? Do you perceive that yourself?
Yeah.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the Merovingian?
On the Merovingian?
Yeah, I think he's one of the most interesting characters in the whole movie, in the whole series.
I think the point of him is to be a wild card. Yeah, I don't know.
So the Oracle said...
I haven't thought about the Merovingian that much.
The Oracle said he's one of the oldest programs in the Matrix. And all he wants to do is enjoy the comforts. He just wants to have power and comfort. When he comes back in the fourth one as a homeless person, he comes back and he gives a speech while his minions from the Nightmare Matrix attack the heroes or attack the red pills. And he basically says, yeah, the old Matrix wasn't perfect, but at least we had elegance, we had conversations, we had dancing, we had parties, we had all this fun interaction. Now all you brought us is Mark Zuckerberg's bullshit. So he's kind of saying that, to me, what he was saying is, yeah, the 90s weren't perfect and the 2000s weren't perfect. But now, look, everybody's just addicted to social media. Everybody just scrolls. At least we talked to each other face to face back then. I can tell you, like, I go out. When I go out, I just see so many people just staring at their phone. And I'm like, we have this whole wide world, and people stare at their smartphones.
A lot of people are just disengaged from what's in front of them.
And I think that's what the analyst was, what the whole point of the analyst, all these, it's just algorithms now. The new Matrix is just all the algorithms. That other picture on there, that's the new Agent Smith. Hugo Weaving didn't come back for the fourth one because of scheduling issues.
Yes.
The part that set you off on that movie was when he started saying, I know, can you believe it? Warner Brothers is making us make a sequel to the trilogy. Can you believe that stupid stuff? And we said, no, you can't make us. And they said, we'll pull your rights. And so they're making us do it.
No, I love that. I love that they just straight up labeled it.
The Wachowskis didn't even want to do it.
For all their faults, how they abused the original writer.
That was a disgrace. The way they did it. They basically had to go through court and everything to pay her. That was ridiculous. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would have been cheaper to just, all right, here's a bag and an NDA.
That's it. Give her $1 million, have her sign a paper, she'd have been happy. Anyway, if you want to go to the next one, so that's Neo and Trinity. I'm trying to remember the name of the actress.
You ain't gonna get it from me.
Katie Sackhoff played Starbuck on the 2000s Battlestar Galactica, which a lot of people say that the 2000s Battlestar Galactica was the beginning of the new era of television. Because before that, what you basically had was individual stories. Each episode was its own story. So you didn't get like these long-term... Get away from there. Go on now. Yeah, so a lot of people say Battlestar Galactica was the beginning of the modern era of television, where now you have the episodes actually all tell a story. So you get like these long character arcs and these long stories. But anyway, she played Starbuck on there, and it was funny. The two of them were talking about how now that they're older, now that they're over 40, they're invisible. And I was just like, everywhere they go, they have fans, and they have tens of thousands of people who will listen to a podcast or go to conventions to see them. And I'm just like, if they're invisible, what are we? We don't exist.
To be honest with you, who cares? My sympathy for him is zero.
Let me ask you, is that what happens like when you attain fame early on in life?
What do you mean?
If you attain fame early on in life, and then later on not as many people are paying attention to you, do you just feel like...
If they're feeling unfulfilled because they don't have attention, it's a product of them not doing something with their fame.
Are you saying they should run for president?
That's what they want to do.
It worked for Donald Trump.
Right. But those other actors, other people that make all this money, and then they move on to go start something philanthropic.
Okay, sure. There's a lot of like athletes who do that too.
And that keeps them relevant, and it keeps them doing good, doing well by doing good.
Okay.
She started a podcast, I
That's a huge thing.
think. And if she's not feeling fulfilled by that, which obviously your point there was taken out of context. I don't know the entire context surrounding that. It may have just been an observation
Sure.
that
right.
actually essentially...
Yeah,
means
that's
nothing.
true. I can't remember if they were lamenting it. They just quickly talked about it and moved on.
But if they're feeling unfulfilled, do something with it.
I didn't get the impression that what they were feeling unfulfilled because they're both mothers now. They're both like they both have
Yeah, if
families,
they had their moment and they're just recognizing that it's over.
I think that may have been more of what it was. The thing is, like the Matrix was huge and Battlestar Galactica was huge. So it's just like, how could you possibly ever replicate that?
And it may bring them more peace if they're mothers now. A lot of mothers, they just want peace and to be able to raise their children.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. I don't blame them for that. If I was having kids right now, which, thank God I ain't, I would want peace and quiet. That would be my number one priority, is just have the most peaceful house I could.
Renee Good, her ex-husband, was like, yeah, she wasn't part of no activist group. She wasn't. She was a stay-at-home mom.
Her ex-husband said that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, she wasn't any... The reason she was in that area was dropping off her kids.
Really?
Yes.
Whoa.
And she was on her way home.
Oh.
I believe she was in her own neighborhood when that happened.
Lord. Good Lord.
Yeah.
That's terrible.
Yeah. Yeah, she had gone home and then ICE was conducting a raid and then she got killed.
You know, that's the problem with when you talk about mass police actions like that, is you only need one person who's a loose cannon, and horrible things will happen.
No, I fairly well agree with that. I agree with that on the most part.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. But
That's what they were trying to communicate?
maybe. I don't think the idea is crazy.
Okay. Got it.
Yeah, maybe the other one is just seeing... Maybe they see each other from the age that they physically feel that they themselves are.
Okay. Right.
Through the lens. If I'm 20, maybe I see my wife through the image of she is 20.
Sure.
But you know what? I feel like they're well attuned to their partners typically, especially when they feel at the level that they do in the Matrix.
Okay.
They tend to notice every little detail. But it's painted through these kind of rose-tinted glasses
Sure.
where it is a beautiful thing to see your partner age. And so maybe the connection feels... Maybe what they're trying to represent is the connection feels like they did when they were young, even though they have aged.
Okay. Gotcha. I guess we'll never know what they were trying to say, but you know what? You have a very beautiful, positive way of seeing that, man.
Thank you.
You ready to go to the next?
Yeah.
Okay. So that baby there is KJ.
Okay.
KJ was born with a very specific genetic disease, CPS1 deficiency.
Okay.
And you can see the title of the paper. It's from, it's from New England Journal of Medicine. Patient-specific in vivo gene editing to treat a rare genetic disease. So this picture here is from 2024.
So they're trying to probably, if I had to guess, I haven't seen this before, to be clear, edit the genes within, this is girl or a boy?
It's a boy.
So edit a gene probably within his liver to produce an enzyme?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay.
Let's go to the next. So this is the urea cycle, right?
Okay.
Part of what happens in your body is that you produce ammonia. You can see there's 2 NH3s, and it's basically part of, mainly it's from amino acid metabolism.
Okay.
Amino acids contain nitrates. So when you break apart those nitrates, you produce ammonia.
Okay.
Ammonia is incredibly neurotoxic. Now,
I was like, oh, it's just an ammonia cleaner. Like she was like asking for a very natural cleaner, but it was a glass cleaner. So I was like, oh, so you're just looking for an ammonia cleaner? It's not ammonia. And then I found the particular product that she was looking for, and I looked at it. I was like, whoa, it is an ammonia.
oh, so it
Anyway.
was a non-ammonia glass cleaner?
Yeah, but she was very indignant.
Oh, I gotcha. Okay. You
I'm
struck a
sorry.
nerve, dude.
I'm sorry,
You
dude.
never know when you're going to strike a nerve, man.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Because I get why it offended her. She was looking for something that was specifically not an ammonia cleaner,
Oh, okay.
and I reduced what she was looking for to an ammonia cleaner.
Okay. All right. But she told you the brand name.
Yeah. Yeah, but I figured it was just another ammonia cleaner.
Some people say just use vinegar and newspaper.
Okay.
I tried it. It works.
Okay.
It actually, vinegar and newspaper works better than vinegar and paper towels.
Yeah, the paper towels leak behind the lint.
Oh, that could be the reason.
If you were just using a microfiber and alcohol,
It would probably work just as well. The one place I worked had the big tub that said a window cleaner, and when you'd fill up the bottle, like the first time I sprayed it, I was like, oh, it's ammonia and alcohol. I don't know that spraying ammonia and rubbing alcohol is the best thing for your respiratory system.
yeah, so I know ammonia is not that damaging.
Okay.
That said, you're aerosolizing it, which is a little bit different than just inhaling the gas. Anyway, you just need, if you're seeing that the paper towel is leaving behind a haze, what you're just looking for is something that's lint-free.
Oh, okay. So go over it with microfiber.
Anything that stays intact entirely and is absorbent is going to be
Gotcha.
appropriate.
Microfiber newspaper. Okay. So anyway, if you look on that left-hand chart, you can see CPS1 in bold in the upper left, right? Basically, your body converts ammonia. Your liver converts ammonia in your blood to urea.
Okay.
And then that urea is filtered out by your kidneys. Urea is basically very non-toxic. So CPS1 is a necessary enzyme in that process. You can see it's early in that cycle.
It's 2-ATP, carbonic acid, and ammonia, and then CPS1.
And then it starts moving it through the rest of the cycle. It's at the beginning of the cycle. So without that, you can't lock ammonia out of the body. So babies who had that genetic defect, back in the day, they used to just
Die. Yeah.
there was no way to save them. What they do now, they give, if you are unable to produce that, they give you glycerol phenylbutyrate. And actually, if your liver is just failing, or whether it's from illness, or you ate poison mushrooms, or alcoholic cirrhosis, they'll give you that GPB. You can see that on the lower left of the right-hand side. And if you look at it, it has that polar end at the beginning where you've got the ketone groups, where you've got those double bonded oxygens. And then all along the sides, you can see it basically has a benzyl group, a phenol group. It makes it both water and fat soluble, right? And you swallow that down, and some of it makes it to your blood, right? And NH2 attaches onto L-glutamine, which is it's an amino acid. This GPB breaks apart. You have that ketone side and that phenol side that allows it to be transportable. That L-glutamine molecule that has captured these two ammonia molecules can then attach onto one of these and then be excreted in the urine. It doesn't all go through your intestine, though. So you don't get complete absorption through the intestine, so you poop like crazy. That's what they had to do, was they started having to give KJ that, and you'll be able to see the results fairly soon here. But first, I wanted to explain a little bit. If you go to the next slide.
Cycle?
So All this occurs in the liver, and specifically, it occurs on the smooth endoplasmic reticulum.
Okay.
Your liver cells have a lot of endoplasmic reticulum. You can think of it almost like a tabletop where all these catalyzed reactions can take place, right? So with endoplasmic reticulum, you have two types. You have smooth and you have rough. The rough endoplasmic reticulum is covered with ribosomes. That's what makes it rough. And ribosomes are basically the machinery that puts proteins together. So on the lower right side, you can see that's basically a ribosome. And on the one part, you got that spiral of RNA that is giving the instructions, and then you can see the green. That is the protein that's coming out. So it's almost
It's a really cool rendition.
yeah, dude, I love it. The proteins that are needed, the enzymes that are needed to carry out these reactions, they just migrate right from that rough endoplasmic reticulum to the smooth.
Okay.
So what they did, if you go to the next slide, on the upper left there, do you recognize that?
No.
CRISPR. Cas9 CRISPR. So what they said is, we're going to get to some of the KJ's DNA, and we're going to clip out this mutant gene that's producing ineffective,
CPS1.
and then they're going to create a new, basically a corrected version of that. They're going to insert a corrected version of that into a capsid. Now, that capsid, the capsid they used is the one on the lower right. It's basically, for lack of a better way to put it, it's a micelle almost, right? You got phospholipids
Yeah.
and proteins, and then on the inside, you have your valuable DNA, right? And they basically mimicked an existing virus. The virus they mimicked is the one on the upper right, and it's actually HIV.
Oh.
They mimicked the construction of the HIV virus. And if you look below, if you look at the next slide, this kind of gives the idea of how they constructed the exon they used, how they constructed the DNA used.
The body has a hard time reacting to HIV. It has a hard time recognizing it.
That could be, but it would be because of how it's built on the outside.
Okay.
Yeah, so the idea was they wanted to create a capsid that would not provoke an immediate immune response. And what they did, they were able to create that, and they tested it on mice. And this kind of shows their in vivo testing on mice that were basically, that had that same mutation. And
Oh, okay. It looks like they're limited to about 60%. They can convert about 60%.
so the ones they treated, like their ability to process went from being like 15% to 60%.
That's a huge win. That's a quaternary.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. So based on that, they got basically a special dispensation from the FDA to proceed with testing proceed basically with putting it into this baby. Now you got to understand, this all happened really quick. Like
Okay.
they put all this shit together in months, like in 3-4 months.
Yeah.
Right.
It sounds to me like that GPB. It ain't no way to live.
So so that you mean the CPS1 mutation? It's horrible.
Like being treated for it with it ain't no way to
Yeah, it ain't perfect, and you can't do it forever. Really, the treatment for this is liver transplant, and it's hard to get those. You got to get perfect match.
Yeah, you basically gotta count on another infant that is
Born without a brain or something like that. Yeah.
You're basically waiting for a dead infant is compatible.
Yeah. And there's not going to be a lot of those.
So even if KJ ends up needing a new liver, if this works, this buys him time. He can get into a different bracket.
That's exactly what they were thinking.
Okay.
So if you go to the next slide, so these are kind of complex charts, right? So bottom scale is day of life,
Okay.
right? On the upper left. Bottom scale is how many days he's been alive, right? Ammonia level in his blood. And you look at day 0,
Quite the spike.
it's enormous. They started giving him glycerol phenylbutyrate, millimeters per meter squared per day, which is basically his body's surface area. So it's a way of saying based on how big he is, this is how much we were giving him. But 10.1 milliliters per meter squared per day, per square meter per day. And you can see they're giving him 10.1, and it does bring down the ammonia level, but you still have these spikes. And those spikes were occurring basically whenever he got sick. Whenever he got a viral infection, he'd have this spike in his ammonia levels. And they're going to a dangerous level. That dotted line is where you want to be. The dotted line is the normal safe level for a human being.
Yeah, the maximum.
It's around, 35 micromoles per liter of blood. So he wasn't having a whole lot of days where he was even below that normal healthy level for the first 5
6
months.
months.
Yeah. When you say that's no way to live, this is a profoundly sick baby. So you can see they gave him dose 1 on day 210, a little before day 210, like day 208. They gave him the first dose of this CRISPR'd
It seems they kind of locked in on it
genetic treatment.
before that point.
Yeah, it looks like they had gotten his ammonia levels under control.
Dose 1 occurred around 208.
And you can see there's an immediate drop. If you look at that chart on the right, you have all those data points from 3 months old up to the day they gave him his first dose. So from day 90 to the day they gave him dose 1, you have all those data points, and you can see the violin graph. And you can see how high it is.
Okay.
Yeah, he has a lot of days where he's below, but he has a lot of days where he's really spiking.
Yeah, he's got huge variance.
And you can see between doses 1 and 2 how the level goes way down. They give him dose 2 on day 230. Now, there is on the left-hand side, you can see where it says wean attempt between dose 1 and dose 2. And you can see his blood level goes up slightly during that wean attempt.
Yeah, it starts peaking.
But then they got him back to the same level. They got him back to the same dosage of medication. And they gave him dose 2 of the gene treatment.
And I imagine the reason they're trying to wean him is because this medication has some adverse effect on his physiology.
It surely does. From what I understand, though, it's a relatively safe medication.
Yeah, but they're fighting hard. Like, it's not like they're not over here. They're accepting some moments above 35 micromoles to trade for half a dose. So I wonder, it must be, for you to take that kind of risk, he must not be developing normally because of his quality of life.
If you look at after dose 2, they did bring the amount of medication they were giving him down 5 milliliters.
Per meter squared per day.
And you can see his level stays low. So basically what they said is the treatment, the gene editing treatment, was 60% effective. So why didn't they go for a third one? What happened was his immune system started recognizing and attacking it. He started having an immune response to it on the second. He had an immune response to the second dose.
So they'd have to rewrite it
Or give it a new capsid. Yeah, something like that to do a third.
if they were racing to do this the first time, they could do it again.
So you go to the next slide.
I have a picture of it.
Right. Yeah, so there he is with a couple of doctors, Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And you can read the result here.
The patient's weight increased from 7.14 kilograms, the 9th percentile, at 207 days. So he was severely underweight.
Yeah.
Okay. After birth, before the first dose. 2, 8.17 kilograms, the 26th percentile, at 256 days after birth, the end of the 7-week follow-up period. And his neurologic status was stable. Okay. So they got him from the very bottom.
Yeah, from severely underweight to just a little bit underweight, like a little below normal.
Okay. I wonder how his quality of life is now.
I wasn't able to find any information about how he's doing now. But they said maybe in the future we'll be able to do a third treatment. Either way, he's not taking as much medication. He's physically much healthier. And if he needs a liver transplant down the line, like his chances of finding one are just so much better.
Because infant mortality is actually lower than people's mortality, like day-to-day living mortality.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing.
It used to be the opposite.
Right. That is a good thing. In fact, infant mortality is better than a birth mortality for the mother.
Yeah, infant mortality is lower than maternal mortality. Right?
Yes. That's a good thing.
We can thank antibiotics and vaccines and better nutrition. Yeah.
That's a good thing, but it's having this adverse effect where someone needs an organ.
You're not going to get it. You're probably not going to get it.
And that's the hopeful thing for him, is that he may be able to receive a liver transplant later, which is, I know you can donate a partial liver and that will work, which it'd be rough to ask a parent to have like their 7-year-old donate a partial liver. The parent, I'd assume it's a pretty tough ask, but maybe he has siblings.
Right. Yeah. The thing is, when you talk about receiving a donor organ, it's hard just to keep that thing alive, just to keep your body from rejecting it. Anything that can keep him from having to get a liver transplant is just huge.
If they can keep giving him doses and if that continues to improve.
If they can find a way to make a third treatment or fourth treatment viable.
Like continuous treatments throughout his life, that's probably what he's going to need.
Like continuous, like genetic treatments?
Yeah.
You think so? Okay.
Because both are going to replicate both his problematic.
Both the mutant DNA and,
the problematic cells and the normal functioning cells.
So then the question is, which one overtakes the other?
I wonder what his risk of cancer is.
Yeah, we don't know. We don't know like how this is going to affect him over the
almost certainly a worthy trade-off. But
right. He basically had a terminal illness, and they cured him of the terminal illness, at least for the moment. I mean, to me, I'm just like 60% effective for a first attempt. That's insane.
At least if he's going through this as a child through a children's hospital, hopefully that means he'll at least have access until he's 18.
We can hope. To me, I'm just floored at how quickly they pulled this off.
Imagine the all-nighters.
Oh, especially like when you're talking about doing lab work like that, man, you like make one mistake. You make one mistake and you are back to step one. You lose 3 days of work just like that. And then you are working like again.
I don't know about that, yeah. I think we've all know all about that. You get so tired and you're just like, oh, I just want this shit to be over with. But then you're so tired you're not attentive, and then your non-attentiveness.
Plus, when you're working with biologics, like you have to suit up and like wash and everything is all these steps. And it gets to where you're like, you know what, I'm not going to take off these clothes. I'll just sit here and go hungry. I will just starve rather than
scrub in, scrub out, scrub out.
Anyway, that was a positive story.
It's awesome.
Yeah. There's one last slide. This is a poem by Robert Bly. He was actually a Minnesota poet. I believe he passed in 94 or 95. But if you'd like to read it.
For my son Noah, 10 years old, night and day arrive, and day after day goes by. And what is old remains old, and what is young, and grows old. The lumber pile does not grow younger, nor the 2x4s lose their darkness. But the old tree goes on, and the barn stands without help so many years. The advocate of darkness and night is not lost. The horse steps, swings on one leg, turns its body, The chicken flapping claws onto the roost, its wings whelping and walloping. But what is primitive is not to be shot out into the night in the dark. And slowly, the kind man comes closer, loses his rage, sits down at table. So I am proud only of those days that pass in undivided tenderness, when you sit drawing or making books stapled with messages to the world, or coloring a man with fire coming out of his hair, or we sit at a table with small tea carefully poured. So we pass our time together, calm and delight. Okay.
So how was your tea?
Oh, it was good. Thank you.
You're welcome, man. And on that note, I believe the ideal life is a nonstop process of learning and growing. Thanks for learning and growing with us. Stay on your game, and we'll see you next time on Everybuddies podcast.
That was awesome.
Great work. Yes.